Hello friends, my name is Sonia. This is Sonia with an I. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today. Today I'm bringing you my July reads and book reviews. Hello friends, I'm going to share with you the 14 books that I read in July. Yes, I said 14. I had a wonderful July, a wonderful reading month. I've had a wonderful reading year, it seems like. 2024 has really just brought me some incredible and amazing books. I did a lot of things in July. I participated in 2 readathons. I did the Retro Romance Readathon that was presented by Storm from Storm Reads and Sarah the Bookish Knitter. I read 4 books. Even though there are 4 different stories. I don't know how you want to count that, but I read both of these books, and I did a Retro Romance Readathon review video, and I will link it in the description box below. I also participated in the Christmas in July readathon with Beach Bum Bookworm and Storm from Storm Reads, Sarah from the Bookish Knitter, and Amy Marie from Amy Marie Reads. It was a blast. After I finish reviewing these books, then I will attach that video to this and we'll just do all the reviews together. So let's go. I really had a variety of books in this July, which I was really excited about because I normally read so many cozy mysteries, and I love that, don't get me wrong. But it was nice to kind of, I don't know, shake the box a bit. And I started my month off with a thriller / horror book by Grady Hendrix. It was a buddy read with my friend Laura Reeves, and it was called My Best Friend's Exorcism. And I have a few notes. The glasses have to come on. So the story begins off with Abby and Gretchen, and they have been best friends since 5th grade. But the story begins as they've began their friendship until, you know, all their adventures and things, all the 80s with 80s. I loved it. I loved all the 80s references. I loved the Dynasties on Wednesday nights and Falcon Crest on Friday nights and the ET referencing. All of the chapters in the book are 80s songs, and Spotify has a playlist, so it was cool to listen to the playlist as I was reading. But Abby and Gretchen, they're going through the middle school and teen years, and they're in high school. And one night they and a group of friends decide to do some like acid drugs, and Gretchen disappears. And when she comes back, she's not herself. And this is all during the time of like the Satanic Panic, when Geraldo Rivera did like the big satanic. I remember this. I remember it all very, very clearly. And she starts to suspect she's possessed by the devil, or she's possessed by a demon, and she's going to save her. This book didn't scare me, but it did gross me out a few times. Beds Are Burning chapter. Yeah. I don't even have words. It was gross. Grady Hendrix writes, I feel like the example of this was written very well. I was very engaged. I did not want to stop reading, except the gross parts. But the rest of it, I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Now, I loved talking with Laura about this too. That was a fun part as well. Just discussing it. Buddy reading is always fun. It's cool to discuss the things that you're doing. So I rated this 4 stars. I think that I'll read another Grady Hendrix, to be honest, even though horror is not my genre. I enjoyed the storytelling. I suggest this for a lot of people just for the cover alone. My God, the cover is gorgeous. It is beautiful. It's I don't know if it's gorgeous like flower and that kind of gorgeous, but it's so 80s vibe. It looks like a VHS tape. Dan thought it was a VHS tape laying on the counter when he saw it. It's just, I don't know, the graphic on the front is cool. It just brought me back. The nostalgia points alone for this, totally worth it. So that was my first read. And then the next book that I read was The Tale of Oak Craig, the number 7 of the Cottage Tales of Beatrix Potter. I gave this 5 stars. You all, I love, love, love this series, and I only have one more book left. Big sad. I don't want it to end. And I have a feeling that I'm going to go back and reread it. And I am not a rereader, but I will reread this one. If you're not familiar with The Cottage Tales of Beatrix Potter, it is about the time in Beatrix Potter's life where she has lost her fiance. He has passed away. She buys a cottage. She buys a farm in the Lake District, and she loves living in the country. She loves all the country life and things, and the story isn't really told from her point of view. It's kind of from like outside narrator, but it does follow her around and like the things that she's doing. And what I really am impressed with this is the history that goes in this too. The history is actually correct. It's, when she moves to the Lake District, when she's in Little Surrey, the people that she meets, a lot of it is historically correct. And then it also talks about like her books and the creatures that are in her books. And this story also, the creatures do the talking to. They talk to each other, not to humans. But they set the humans up so they can figure out how to solve the mysteries, which I loved. In this one, there is a water hydroplane that someone has invented, and they're flying it over the lake, and the people in the Lake District do not like it because it's noise pollution. And the town is in an uproar, and then all of a sudden the person who was financing it ends up getting in an accident, and it's not an accident. Investigation ensues. Number 8 is the last one. I'm really savoring it. I really don't want to read it because it really is my favorite series, but I really think that I don't collect a lot of books and I don't keep a lot of books, but I really think that this one will be one that I do end up picking up. So great book. 5 stars. 5 stars for me. The next book that I read was How to Book a Murder by Cynthia Kuhn. This is number 1 in the Starlit Bookshop mystery. I picked this up. Amy Marie had talked about it. It sounded very interesting to me. The main character's name is Emma Stars, and she is trying to save her family's Colorado bookstore called Starlit Bookshop. And it has a very Edgar Allan Poe feel, which I really like that. I love anything with a bookstore. Emma she's kind of a event planner, or she's trying to get into event planning. Her high school classmate, Tabitha Baxter, she's kind of the mean girl, rich girl sort of gal, is having an evening with her husband, and they're doing kind of this fundraiser sort of thing with Edgar Allan Poe theme, and her organizer isn't able to come through, so Emma comes in and volunteers to do it, and this Tabitha just treats her horribly, but her husband ends up being murdered at the party, and then there's an investigation, and because Emma is trying to save the bookstore, she helps with the investigation. The community is real artistic. I find that charming. I love the bookstore. I think it's a good start for a cozy. I really do. I love the literature connections. I love the community. The MC is real smart and level-headed. She has an aunt who I really like. I like the older auntie or the older grand sort of person. There's an author that's in it that's very eccentric, and she's kind of funny. I actually kind of thought she was the star of the show. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I will continue the series. I think it's a good start. I really do. Amy Marie has been killing the suggestions for me lately, because every one of them that I've read that she suggested, I've really liked. The next one that I read was Buried in a Book by the Book Mysteries number 1. It's by Tamara Berry. I read this book because my sister Tammy from Believe in Your Shelf has suggested this as well, and I thought, well, I'll give this one a try. This was an audiobook for me. I have found, and I think that I've learned about myself, that I enjoy cozies more when I listen to them. Because it seems like that I don't know, it just really seems like that I enjoy a cozy more when I listen to it. Like somebody's story time. And this one, it's a little bit grittier than your average cozy. I thought the MC is a crime writer and a mom. Her daughter's name is Gertie. Gertie's a teen, and she acts like a teen. The main character is going to her late grandfather's cabin in Washington. It's very secluded. There's no internet because she is trying to heal the relationship with her daughter. They're recently they're divorced parents. Her father has kind of been a deadbeat, and so she's trying to be Gertie, help Gertie, but Gertie is a total teen, and there's a lot of a little bit of relationship drama there. This book has a lot of twists and turns in it. I got lost in some of the twists and turns a few times, but I really enjoyed it. It tied everything up really nicely. I love the Pacific Northwest. I love the cabin in Washington, secluded. Yes, please. I love all of that stuff. The crime was really unique. Like, there was an explosion and there was body parts. So I will definitely read the next book. I thought it was a unique take. I gave it 4 stars. It was a good read. The next book that I read was The Body in the Bookstore by Ellie Alexander. This is a new series by Ellie Alexander, who writes the Bake Shop Mysteries, which I love those. The cast of characters in it are very interesting. It's I thought it was a great start for a series. This was also took place in a bookstore, but this one had an Agatha Christie sort of vibe to it, which I enjoyed. The main character's name is Annie Murray, which I can't not in my head sing Snowbird when I see the name in Annie Murray. Anyway, I'm showing my age maybe. So this is a mystery themed bookstore, and Annie has a lot of pain. Her best friend in college was murdered, and she is constantly trying to figure out what happened. She went into criminology in college, and after her best friend was murdered, she decided she didn't want to do that, and she goes and works at this bookstore. The bookstore owner is just like, has my heart. He is such a sweet person, and the things that it's just great. Well, Annie decides that she wants to do this like murder mystery festival, Agatha Christie big murder mystery festival, which reminds me a lot of the Ashland Mystery Festival, which would make a lot of sense because that's Ellie Alexander. And this friend of hers, not so friend, but somebody she went to college with, shows up, and then she ends up killed, and there's a mystery. I did enjoy this. I give it 3.5 stars. The MC's pain is very real, and Ellie Alexander is a great writer, and she did a great job writing. Like, I could feel it. It was very easy to be empathetic to her. As I said, the bookstore owner, I loved them too. I'll continue the series. I enjoyed it. It was a good start. The next one I read, Twilight Falls, Shady Hollow #4 by Juno Black. If you have watched me at all, you know me at all, you know I love this series. Shady Hollow is just delightful. It is like Zootopia, but make it Murder, She Wrote. Vera Vixen is the main character. She's a reporter, and it's spring in Shady Hollow, and there's romance in the air, and Vera is caught up in her own relationship with Chief Braun, who is a bear and a fox. Don't even try to figure out the animal couplings. Just go with it. And there's this couple that's, one is an otter and one is a beaver, Von Beaverpelt, and she's very, if they didn't model her after a Kardashian, then I'm surprised. But she's very shushy-foofy, and the otter is a working man, and the parents are up in arms that these two are even together, and there's this whole, people are again, otters and beavers can't be together, and the father of the otter is really against it, and he ends up being in an accident. So then there's an investigation. I love this book. I give it 5 stars. Shady Hollow is another series I probably will end up rereading sometime. I would actually like to listen to the audio of all of them because I've eyeball read the whole series. So very enjoyable, fantastic series. The next book that I read, another wonderful book. I'm telling you, I had a great July. Another wonderful book that was historical fiction. That's what I said, kids. Historical fiction. This is called The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I feel like I was a little late to the game on this. I feel like I know many people who have read this and loved it. So in this in this book, it is told from the point of view of a reporter, and she's not a well-known reporter, but for some reason, this Hollywood icon, Evelyn Hugo, has asked this specific reporter to write her memoirs. And she wants it to be honest and gritty, and she's telling, like, she's spilling it all. And I couldn't put this book down. I love old Hollywood anyway. I know, I mean, there's a lot of nastiness in old Hollywood. There's a lot of things that are just terrifying and horrible. You know, it's not the, you know, we just get the pretty side of Hollywood back in, you know, and I love that pretty side, but I also know there's a really gritty side. And Evelyn is not a likable character. She did a lot of immoral things, and a lot of people hurt a lot of people, but you can't help but empathize with her. You can't help but like her, and you can't help but kind of maybe even understand why she did what she did. Her story isn't really dissimilar than many other people who lived in that time period, especially women, and not any different than many people that I actually know. I feel like the book really defines love and relationships. It's not cookie cutter, as relationships are not. You know, we get media paints that, you know, this is how relationships are supposed to look, and, you know, relationships are unique and complicated, but it makes it beautiful. And that book goes into all of that, the beauty and the complication of love, and how love is different. Like, each relationship is different, and love is different in different ways. And the sadness that I felt in this book because of ignorance and hate, it wrecked me. It totally wrecked me. I cried. I couldn't stop thinking about it days after I read about it. I needed recuperation time. I'm glad that I read it. It's really, really a beautiful story. And I love how the author went into relationships and how they are unique and they are not the same. That the love that you feel for one person could be very different from the love that you feel with another person, but it doesn't mean it's any less. Beautiful, beautiful story. 5 stars. 5, probably one of my favorite books of this year, if you don't count my cozies. The next book that I read was Nightshades for Warning, number 2, part of the Enchanted Garden mystery. And I went into this thinking it was a Christmas book because I looked at the cover. It looked kind of Christmas to me, but I didn't have my glasses on when I did it. And I got my tail in a knot because I'm like, there's no Christmas on this. There's no Santa. There's no candy canes. And then I got a better look at the cover and I was like, oh, wait a second. It's not supposed to be Christmas. Anywho, yeah. Do you do things? You don't do things like that? I'm glad you're perfect because I'm not. I do silly things sometimes, and that's okay. I'm human. So in this one, I had an expectation that I didn't get when I was about halfway through with the book, but I will say I read the book anyway, and I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I like the main character. I like the setting, the enchanted garden, the granny spirit that comes to her. It's not really a hoo-ha, kind of, you know, paranormal type book, but it does have a little bit in it. It's more of a spiritual kind of thing. You know, she has an apothecary, and she lives in a tiny home, and she has an enchanted garden, and she talks a lot. I love the herbal aspects of this. She talks a lot about the different types of herbs and you know, like aromas that help people and aromatherapy. I enjoy that part. She has her store is called Sense and Nonsense, which I think is cool too. Her brother comes to visit with the girlfriend. I loved getting to know the family, but this book was way too relationship heavy for me. Her boyfriend moved to Alaska. He's working. She's, you know, constantly in her head about Ritter and Ritter this and Ritter that and whatever. And I'm not usually good about remembering names in books, but, you know, she said it 1,000 times. And then, of course, you know, this hot and handsome guy moves in and she starts having other thoughts. So there's a love triangle and bleh, no thanks. I think 1/4 of the book was romance, and no thanks. It's not for me. There's a little corgi in this book, Charlie the corgi, and he's barely mentioned. It did not have the same spin as the first one. The first one I gave 5 stars. This one I gave 3 stars. I didn't hate it, but I was disappointed. There is a third one in the series. I may go ahead and read it just to kind of close out the series, but I'm not rushing to do so, because I don't want to. I'm not going to rush into it. It's not going to be a priority for me. The next 2 books that I read were both Christmas books. So I have that video. Excuse me. I have that video that I'm going to attach right now. Hello, friends. My name is Sonia. This is Sonia with an I, and today I am bringing you my Christmas in July review of the books that I read. So it is July. It is a heat indices of 104 right now. I'm just saying. But here I am. I'm getting ready to pop on for the Christmas party, and I thought, well, I'll do a quick review of the books that I read in case you missed the Christmas party. So I read 2 books. I thought that I read 3, but I don't want to talk about the third one. I already raved about it. So the first one that I read was Hark the Herald Angels Slay. This is from Vicki Delaney. This is part of the Year-Round Christmas Town. The Year-Round Christmas Town is Rudolph, New York, and Mary is the main character, and she owns Mrs. Claus's Christmas Treasures. And this town is Christmas all year round, just as it says. And Mary's ex comes back to town and wants to get back together. And he works for a big magazine in New York, and he's trying to bamboozle her because he's actually engaged to the owner of the magazine. And eventually he's definitely on the naughty list, and he pays for it. So this was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. I love this town. I love this series. And this was actually Christmas in July, which I thought was clever and fun and really appropriate for this time. So I thought that this was a great one. The other one that I read was the 4th in the Christmas Tree Farm. It is Hark the Herald Angels Slay, I believe. I'm going to put it right here. I can't remember the name of it. I gave that one 4 stars too. I really enjoyed it as part of the Christmas Tree Farm series. The main character's name is Holly. Holly moved back to her hometown of Mistletoe, Maine, and to be with her family after she was jilted in her marriage. And in this specific book, she is running a bed and breakfast on her parents' farm, and one of the mistletoe growers ends up being murdered, and it ensues from there. So I thought it was really cute. I give it 4 stars. Since it's in the middle of the series, I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to give any spoilers, because there has been some development since the beginning. So those were my 2 Christmas books. I hope if you participated in July, let me know in the comments. If you had a great read or not so great read, let's talk about it. If you're new here, please subscribe if you like the vibe. Please. Your support is absolutely free, and it means the absolute world to me because this is so fun. I am having an absolute blast. Thank you so much. You make the world a better place just by being in it. Until next time, happy reading. Bye now.